Hi everyone, this is Dipali Kulsrest again and representing AWS User Group Delhi NCR. I'm glad to welcome you all for second session in Cloud Practitioner Bootcamp series. In session 1, we primarily focused on cloud computing concepts and understood AWS offerings and learned to set up budget alerts. In today's session, we'll continue on this journey by actually creating our footprints on AWS Cloud and focus on compute and storage offerings provided by AWS. Needless to say, keep posting your Q&As in comment section to make this session more engaging and useful. Over to you, Jatin.
Thank you very much, Dipali. And one more time, very good morning, everyone, and a very warm welcome to this second day of a Cloud Practitioner Bootcamp. So, first of all, thanks a lot for making this bootcamp valuable by your presence in today's session. And even that was a wonderful interaction with all of you with all your valuable comments. So, as mentioned by Dipali, don't hesitate to post your comment because we are going to take that on a regular basis. Okay. And I will also help you out as I'm going to do with some additional links which can help you out as a part of this cloud computing journey. Okay. So, without any further delay, let me start with today's session. So let's have a quick recap about yesterday's session, what exactly we had covered. So we had started our journey in cloud computing because when we put a step up in a cloud computing journey, we always want to understand what exactly is it. Is it a language? Is it a framework? Is it a methodology? Is it a culture? What exactly cloud computing is? So we got the answer in yesterday's session. What is cloud computing and why companies are adopting cloud computing? Okay, we had discussed about advantages of cloud computing, and we had also talked about like what are the different types of cloud computing, let's say public cloud, private cloud, hybrid cloud, community cloud, and multi cloud. Okay, and we had also discussed about security and privacy, like how we can incorporate security and privacy as a part of these different types of cloud models. Okay, our next discussion was in yesterday's session was how to create an AWS account. So I had basically shown you that if you are starting freshly, if you're starting new in AWS, you can start creating an account that's a free tier account. Okay, and I had removed some misconception about this word free tier. If we think that free tier means everything free, we always have to keep in our mind that there is a quota, there is a time limit which is involved in a free tier. Okay, and based on that, we have to decide whenever we are creating our AWS account, we have to keep this thing in our mind that if we are not following the limit, if we are not following the quota, then there can be a possibility that at the end of the month you are getting charged by AWS. Okay, so for that we had created budgets, AWS budgets we have created, and I told you like how you can take precautions. Let's say you have got some alert from AWS. What is the next step you have to do? You can go to the cost explorer, you can basically check what is wrong, and you can also raise a ticket to the AWS support team if you are not aware about or you are not sure about which service is generating the charges for you. Okay, and finally our discussion was on some fundamentals components which are required for any application design. So what's for today? So for today, let's explore AWS services. So I will directly take you to the management console. This is my management console. I hope if you have your AWS account, you must have logged into your AWS account. If not, you can just try all these things later. Because in today's session, I'm going to provide you some assignments. Okay. If you really want to practice that, if you really want to do some homework before joining my next session, I would encourage you with some useful links you can use to practice. Okay. So see, yesterday also I had given you a small bit of walkthrough about this management console. This is my console home. This is my landing page. Whenever we log into the AWS account, we always get into a landing page. Okay. So as I promised to all of you, the first thing we will do today that is to enable multi-factor authentication. We will see how to enable MFA. Okay. I told you the importance and significance of MFA, what MFA is providing you. So it's providing us the additional layer of authentication other than our email ID and password. And the reason behind that, we want to get safe. Like we don't want our credentials are getting compromised if someone is getting the access to that. Okay. If you have to relate it with your day-to-day life, the very best example is internet banking. When we use internet banking, other than username and password or cust ID and password, some internet banking providers ask us to provide an OTP. Okay, there will be an OTP on a mobile in form of message, or it can be in form of email in your mailbox. Okay, you have to enter a code. Once you enter the code, you get landed to your internet banking account. So that code, that OTP, act as a second factor of authentication. Means even if your cust ID and password would be compromised, till the time I do not get that OTP, I will not be in trouble, or that can protect me with the extra layer of authentication. Okay. So same thing we are going to do here. So if we have to enable MFA, the first thing we'll have to do, just expand this drop down again, and this time you have to go to security credentials. Okay, so I'll go to security credentials, and I will be on that page. I can see that there is a section from where I can enable multi-factor authentication. So for my account, I already have it enabled, but I will show you from scratch. Okay, let's wait for this page to be loaded, and once it will be loaded, we are going to check the MFA part. Okay, so you can see a screen in front of you soon. That is my security credentials page. Okay, as a part of IAM security. Let's quickly wait for this page to be loaded. In my mind, let me tell you one thing. As okay, there is a infrastructure. When we use this word, can anyone tell me what are the infrastructure, or how you define? Give a try. Let's wait for a couple of seconds. Okay, let me help you out. So see, I am creating a availability zones and data center. This is the hierarchy I have created. Again, another question for all of you. I know you all are experts, so that's why I'm keeping on asking questions. Okay, so see, my next question to all of you: why this hierarchy is here? Is there any specific reason? We have this activity. So again, I will give you 2 minutes, okay, for this particular activity. And I'll repeat my question. I have created one hierarchy: region, availability zones, and data centers. Okay. So whenever we talk about global infrastructure, we see this hierarchy. So my question is, why this hierarchy is there? Is there any specific reason why we have this type of hierarchy we get into AWS? And your time starts now. For this activity, I'll again repeat, I am going to give you 2 minutes. Your time starts now. Over to you all. I'll keep an eye in the comment section, and I will check the comments here. Let me go back. I'm looking forward for the answers in the comment section. 27 seconds have been passed. Okay, very good. Jagan, I have got one reply. My question is again, I have put a hierarchy in front of you: region, availability zone, and data center. Why this hierarchy is here? Any specific reason? 50 seconds has already been passed. Same regions are more secure and availability is 100%. Due to this, we have to manage virtual infra, easy manage and monitor. Thank you very much. Looking forward for more participation. Still you have 1 minute of time. Thanks Mahendra, thanks Sandeep, thanks Jagan. Looking forward for more participation, everyone. Okay. 1 minute, 22 seconds over. 30 more seconds left in front of you. You still have a good time to tell this, and then I'll help you out because we are here to learn together. And that's why let's learn together, let's discuss together, and understand the concepts. Okay. 10 more seconds, 5 more seconds, 2 more. Okay. Time up. Let's see that. So, see, actually, I believe commitment is, and that is server means if I have to do any work, any piece of work, I need servers for that. I need servers for compute. I need servers for storage. I need servers for databases. These things. So servers is there everywhere. Okay. So basically, if I'm talking about this hierarchy which I had presented in front of you, I give here, and two just I will add in front of you. Those are high availability and high availability. That is my first justification. I'll repeat. And second one is security. Okay. First from security perspective, top to up. Okay. So see, data center is the collection of servers. So you can see at the end we are dealing with servers only. In a facility, at the end you have a servers where your resources will be hosted, where your resources will be deployed. So security, when I talk about, say, in AWS, you will not have the access to the physical data center where servers are placed because for you, everything you're accessing over the internet virtually based on the concept of virtualization. Okay. So when you will see like in AWS Management Console, or let's say if you're a programmer or if you're an administrator, you're using command line interface or software development kit too. Okay. At that point of time, also when you have to choose a location, you have a location in front of you. Let's say Mumbai. Mumbai is a geographical location, one of the geographical location where AWS has its presence. But where in Mumbai? Do you know that Mumbai is a big city? Well, in Mumbai, Hyderabad is one of the geographical location where AWS has its presence, recently launched. Okay. But where in Hyderabad? Do you know that? No, the region is security. You see the notations like this. For example, if I have to represent Mumbai region, it will be in this notation AP South 1. Okay. And then I will have a notation like this for availability zone AP South 1A, AP South 1B, AP South 1C. Okay. These will be the notations for availability zones. Okay. So security is there because I don't have a visibility, I don't have the information about the actual data center location. Second is high availability. Now, if I have to define high availability, you will have to be very smart. Okay. Because I have seen people who explain high availability as zero downtime. I don't agree with that. High availability means minimal downtime. It can be zero, but it is minimal downtime. If the downtime will be and your system will be fault tolerant, means you have a built-in redundancy. So that is a very major difference between these technical keywords, fault tolerant and high availability. Okay. So I say this hierarchy is here in order to provide high availability or minimal downtime. For example, when we talk about region, it's a geographical location where AWS has its presence or AWS infrastructure resides. Okay. But where AWS infrastructure resides, that will be taken care by data center. So a region is a collection of two or more availability zone, a technical definition. What is availability zone? An availability zone is a collection of one or more data center, and two AGs are isolated from each other at a distance of around 100 kilometer at as per the documentation. They are fault isolated, means if one of the availability zone will be down, still you will be able to serve your application, serve your customer from another availability zone. Means we are talking about high availability here. So keep in your mind, these are the two major reasons why we see this hierarchy. Okay. We have other components also as a part of a global infrastructure. If someone is interested, I'll provide you the reference for that. But you have to remember these three major keywords: region, availability zones, and data centers. Okay. Next thing is, which you have to keep in your mind, that is when you're talking about these keywords as a part of the global infrastructure, any service in AWS, okay, either it will be a regional service or it will be a global service. Regional means you need to choose a region. First thing. Global means no need to choose a region. That is global. Regional, one of the very common example is EC2, Elastic Compute Cloud. That is a service which provides us virtual machine. Global, IAM, it's a global service. When you are creating any user in your account, you are not creating a user specific to a region. That user will be there in your account in all the regions. Okay. Let's say if I'm providing some access to that user can perform those tasks in all the regions available in your account. Okay. So that you have to keep in your mind. If anybody is interested, you can try happening. Okay. Just type over the internet AWS global infrastructure and you will be landed here. Global infrastructure AWS. Once you will open this, you can see. If we'll go to global infrastructure, this is a section. You can read more about it from here. Okay. In terms of overview, like global infrastructure map, infrastructure matters. AWS is the longest running Gartner CIPS Magic Quadrant leader. Okay, this is about statistics, footprints. Okay, you can also understand what are the regions and availability zones from here. So for that, you can switch to this particular section and you can data that what are the available regions. You can see there are other components too: local zones, wavelength services, AWS outpost. Okay, so you can read about this if you're interested. Okay, I am taking this section. Great. Okay, now coming back to the point, see, let's see in my AWS account. So this is a section. I can see I already have an MFA device enabled, but you can see use MFA to increase the security of your AWS environment. Signing in with MFA requires an authentication code from an MFA device. Each user can have maximum of 8 MFA device assigned. Let me provide one more. So let's say assign MFA device. If you don't know, you have to click on assign MFA device. And if you have not enabled it yet for your account, if you have freshly created your account, or if you already have an account in AWS, but MFA not enabled, do that. Go to assign MFA device. And here in the assign MFA device, you can see, just provide a name. Let's say my second MFA device. For me, this is the second MFA device I'm configuring. Okay. You have multiple options. You can take any name, any meaningful name you can take. Okay. These are various options. You can use an application or you can use some physical tokens. Okay. I'm not using a physical tokens. I don't have any hardware based tokens. So I'm using an authenticated app. You can always refer the info section in order to understand more. So basically, even when you will explore about AWS services, you can see this info icon in front of different options. So if you want to read about what that option is actually signifying, you can open this info section and that would be really useful for you. Okay. So I am using an authenticator app. This is an application which I can run on my mobile on web in order to enable MFA. Scroll down, go to next. And from here, the first thing you can do, you can see the list of compatible applications. Okay. So if we'll go to this, there will be the list of compatible applications which you can install on your mobile. Okay. And these are the further steps. Once the application will be installed, you have to open the authenticator app. You have to show the QR code on the page, and then you have the app to scan the code. Okay. Alternatively, you can type a secret key. So showing a secret key is not a good practice. If you want that to configure, do that, but never share that with anyone. So I'm not using this option. I will say show QR code. Okay. If I scroll down, these are the different applications which are available on Android and iOS. So based on your OS, based on which mobile you are you using iPhone or Android, you can choose an application to be installed on your mobile or web. Okay. I already have an application running on my mobile. Let me quickly open the application and I will say show QR code. As soon as I'll do that, I will scan this QR code in my app and this code got added. Okay. I'll have to provide two consecutive code which my app will generate. So it's like OTP. Like when an OTP comes to your mobile, it remains valid for some time. And then you keep on getting new OTP. Similarly, your app will keep on generating new codes after a certain period of time. In fraction of seconds, basically, you can say. Okay. So I have to provide two consecutive code from my mobile app. First one I have provided. Let me take for second one. Let's do that. So I'm waiting my app to generate the second one, and it's here. And I'll say add MFA. Okay. As soon as I will do that, you can see an MFA device got assigned. Okay, so I have two MFA device. One I have created now, one I had created 10 days ago. Okay, so you can create the MFA if you are the first time user. If you don't have MFA enabled already, because this is an additional layer of authentication you should add as a part of your AWS account. Well, let me show you. If I will log out and do that, what will happen? Will be to the sign-in. Let's do that. So let's wait for this console up and running. And from here, I can say simply log back in. Okay, Srinivas, to answer your question, like we are not following any dedicated PPT and slides. For yesterday's session, we have taken some references of a PPT, okay, that you can see in the recordings, okay. The links which we had provided that were also there in the recordings, okay. So check that, and if there will be any issue, come back to us, okay. Check the recording first. I'm providing the password and then it's asking for the MFA code. And once I will enter that, I will be landed to my AWS. You could see other than email ID and password, this time I had to provide the MFA code. Okay. So this is how you can enable MFA, an extra layer of security, additional layer of authentication other than your mail ID and password. I hope we are good, everyone. Are we? Can you quickly post that in the chat? Are we good, everyone? Till here? Post that in the comment section. One more check. Can you quickly post your response in the comment section if you all are good, everyone? Great. So I'm again back to my console home. And now the first thing I want to tell you, see, if you will expand this services section, you can see there are various ways to check for what are the available services in the AWS. The first way is you can see we have different categories. Let's say analytics categories. So under analytics, we have all these services: Athena, Cloud Search, Data Pipeline, EMR. Okay. If you will further scroll down, these are different categories of services, and under each category, you can see the list of services. For example, I'm interested in compute. So these are the list of services available under compute. So I will talk about EC2, I will talk about Elastic Beanstalk, I'll talk about Lambda. These are the services I will talk about under compute category. Similarly, you can explore other categories too. Okay. I will also share one very good document which I have prepared in the upcoming session. That is a glossary. That is a glossary for the cloud practitioner. So I have taken the keywords and I have taken the description for that. But let's quickly perform few things and then I'm going to share that document with all of you. Okay. Yes. The second way is you can go to all services, and here you can see the services alphabetically. That is the second way to check what all services are there in AWS. Okay. The third way, if you have recently visited some services, that will be available here. So you can also go to recently visited section in order to check if that service is listed or not. And the same recently visited section you can see that is present on the console home in a form of one of the widget. Okay. And you can also mark the services as your favorite services, and that will be appeared here. So you can directly navigate to that particular service from the favorite section too. Okay. So in today's session, I am going to start with a demo on EC2. So let me quickly open EC2. Okay, so I'm typing in the search bar EC2. It will take me to the EC2 dashboard. Okay. So here I'm in the EC2 dashboard. So all management console is one interface to interact with AWS services. That is one web-based interface. It's not the only way. As you will proceed, as you will be more advanced, you can see there are other ways other than this management console, like command line interface and software development kit. Okay. So command line interface is usually used by administrators. Okay. So what we are going to do here, we are going to launch AWS. So I'm going to launch a Linux-based virtual machine in AWS. Now at the top, you can see there's a toggle button. This toggle button is with respect to new EC2 experience. Okay. If you will switch off this toggle button, you can see it will take you to the old EC2 dashboard. Okay. Start our demonstration. Let me give an idea what we are going to do as a part of this particular draft. We will launch Science-based instance, okay, and then we will connect to that EC2 instance via two ways. One is EC2 Instance Connect, another is Putty. That is an open SSH client. Okay, so let's do that. So simply go to new EC2 experience. This is a toggle button which you can switch to new and old. Okay, I am going to use new EC2 experience, as I told. See, as a part of your console only, you have enough documentations available. You don't have to go here and there. Okay, you don't have to type the things on internet. From itself, whenever you are in a particular service dashboard, you can see the different documentations as a part of additional information, like you have here. You can see we have getting started guide, we have documentation, we have all EC2 resources, we have forums, we have pricing option, we have contact us options. Okay. And they have also given some articles migrating a server. If you have to migrate an existing AWS, how you can do that, getting started with AWS application migration service. Okay. But we are going to launch our instance. So let's click on instances. And as I'll do that, I will be navigated. I run my EC2 instance. Okay. So So this is a page, this is a filter applied. So currently I don't have any instance running in my Mumbai region, and that you can see no matching instances found. Okay. Now, don't forget to clean your resources till the time you are in a free trial. Okay. So always remember that if you are in a free trial and you don't want to be get charged by AWS, so never ever forget to clean your resources once you are done with your exercise. Okay. And the same practice we are going to follow here too. So let's quickly say launch instance. And when we will say launch instance, we would be able to see a screen. On that screen, there will be different options here. Okay. The first option is name and tags. Okay. Name and tags. So can anyone tell me what do you understand by tags? Any idea? Have you heard this word before? Tagging or tags? Anyone? Okay. Sandeep, there was a EC2 toggle button. That toggle button had been given to you so that you can switch to new EC2 console experience or old EC2 console experience. Okay. So if you had created an EC2 instance in the past, while launching an EC2 instance or while launching a virtual machine, we had to navigate through multiple screens. But now in the new experience, AWS keeps on updating their experience on the timely basis. Okay. So now with the new experience, you can see you can populate all the information from the single screen. That is a difference. Okay. That was a toggle button 4 in the EC2 console. Okay. I hope you got the answer, Sandeep, of your question. Have you? Sandeep, can you confirm that in the chat? Okay, please do that, Sandeep. Yes, so I was talking about tagging. So always remember tagging is a strategy or a best practice in industries. Okay. Now try to understand with an example. The example is, let's say, like I have 10 servers running in my environment, in my account, in an industry. Okay. Now tags are key value pairs. I'm applying a key and I'm applying a value to that key. For example, name. So those 10 servers are web servers which are used to host a web application. Okay. So I have named those servers like that: web server 1, web server 2, web server 3, web server 4, and so on. Okay. After some days, I got a report from AWS, a cost report from AWS at the end of the month. Okay. Now I am evaluating that cost report and I want to filter only those resources which are the web servers, because that report is containing the info about other servers too. Okay. But I only want to see the report for web servers. So if you had provided these tags, if you had provided the name value pairs, you will be able to filter the resources on the basis of these tags. Okay. So tag can be, let's say, a metadata information for your resources. It can be a name you are providing. It can be an environment you are providing. It can be a type you are providing. So you can define what type of name value pair you have to provide. So it is simply filtering your resources. It is making the search easy. It is helping you out to manage your resources easily in AWS. Okay. So I'm applying a tag. Let's say I'm saying Linux server. That is a tag I'm applying. So you can give a name to this EC2 instance. I have given a name, Linux, any name you can give of your choice. Okay. The next thing which I will do, that is Amazon Machine Image, AMI. Okay. Amazon Machine Image is a full form. If I have to relate that in a very simple language, I can say it's an image, it's a template which is required to launch your EC2 instance. So someone asked this question to you, that what are the mandatory parameters required to launch your server, an EC2 instance? So AMI is one of the mandatory parameter required. Now, what this AMI and what is a use for? Understand it from the, again, best practice purpose. Let's say all of you have joined a company, okay? And now you have been assigned a task, that is to set up your machines. A machine has been given to you, a laptop has been given to you, but on that laptop you have to install the softwares. Okay. So obviously, if you are joining a company, there would be a dedicated IT team. Okay. Or if you are working as a part of a startup or any other company where you are responsible for whole and soul activities, then you will have to install also. Okay. Now I'm talking about best practice. Let's say 100 employees joined a company at the same time. Okay. And those 100 employees are the part of a team. So those 100 employees needed to set up their machines. There are list of 10 softwares which had to be installed on those machines. Okay. One way is an infrastructure guy will come to each and everyone's machine, and the person will do the installation one by one. That is the one way. Another way is a person will do a setup on one machine, create the image of that machine, and use the same image to set up other 99 machines. So if you will compare both the scenarios, in the second scenario, the time save, complexity is getting reduced, management is less. Similar thing is here. AMI are repeatable. Repeatable means, let's say, I have launched one EC2 instance with an image. That is a base image. That base image is containing some information about operating system, application servers, and some applications which are required to run your machine. Like when you purchase a laptop, a fresh laptop from the market, you do the OS installation, and there are some drivers installed on your machine. Why those drivers and OS is required? For the functioning of your machine, so that when your machine will be started, your machine will start functioning. Similar thing is here. This AMI, which is a base AMI, that is required to launch an EC2 instance. Now I created one EC2 machine, and on this EC2 machine, I have installed 20 softwares. Okay. I don't want these softwares to be installed again and again on other EC2 machines. So I will create an EMI. That is the use of AMI. Okay. Great. So always recall that in your mind. If you're under free tier, the one which is free tier eligible. I'm opting for Amazon Linux, so I have chosen this one, Amazon Linux, and I have also checked that it is free tier eligible. On scrolling down further, I can see I have to choose an instance type. So instance type is something which provides you hardware based configuration. Let's say CPU, let's say memory, RAM, network performance, all these will be a part of the instance type. So AWS gives you different types of configuration based on your use case. So based on my use case, based on the price I want to invest, I can choose a particular instance type. But for us, the instance type which we have to choose, that is T2.micro, which is a free tier eligible. Okay. Then we have a key pair. So key pair is basically used to securely connect to your EC2 instances from an external client. So in my demo, I'm going to use two modes to connect to my EC2 instance. One is EC2 instance connect. So that is a mode which is inbuilt in the AWS itself. Means AWS is providing me an interface I can use to connect to my Linux based machines. And another one, I'm going to use an open SSH software or a client that is called Putty. I'll show you both the ways. So for Putty, I need this key pair. So I will create a key pair. Create a new one. And you have to ensure that you have the access of this key pair. Okay. So let me provide a name, any name I'm providing. I'm saying demo key pair. And to make it unique, I am providing today's state, or I'm appending today's state. Okay. Because you can see I already have this key pair existing in my account. If you don't have, you can use this. So just to make my name unique, I'm appending today's state. Okay. Never personal information. Okay. Remember that. Whenever you are giving a name, whenever you are choosing a logical name for any resource, never ever provide any personal information. I have provided a date, or I can provide some meaningful name. Whatever you want to do, you can, but don't provide any personal information. Okay. These are the key type. We don't have to go into this detail. These are different types of key pairs. Okay. Now, if you have to understand key pair again in a simple keyword, you can say that like key pair is one of the technique to securely connect to your EC2 instance. Okay. These are the algorithms. In short, this RSA, ED25519. The full form of RSA is Rivers Shamir Edelman. That is a full form. Okay. So these are the inventors of this algorithm. On the basis of these inventors, the name RSA has been given. So it's an algorithm for the key pair. Okay. So I have chosen a default one, which is RSA. And now I have to choose a key file format. So in a key pair, there are two types of files, private key and public key. Okay. So AWS keeps the public key and you have to keep the private key with yourself, so that when you are connecting to your machine, you have to provide the private key. And corresponding to that private key, the identity will be validated based on the public key EC2 is holding. So I'm choosing this .ppk as a private key format because I am going to use putty, and putty needs putty private key. PPK stands for putty private key. Okay. Let's create a key pair. As soon as I do that, it will download a key pair on my machine, and I am going to apply a putty. Okay. Let's go down further. I'll go down further. Under the networking part, when you are launching a server, a machine that will be a part of a network. Okay. So in AWS, the network is provided to you by a service called VPC, Virtual Private Cloud. Okay. So VPC gives you the isolated environment or isolated network. Now, when you create your AWS account, AWS will create a default VPC in every region in your account. So I'm choosing a default one. I'm keeping this option as default. I will only pay some attention on this firewall and security group. Okay. So when we talk about security groups are firewall which decides what type of traffic is allowed. If you have to connect to your Linux based machine, you need to enable SSH secure shell. Okay. There are some ways, there are some modes by which when you have to connect to your EC2 machine, this SSH is not required. Okay. One of the mode to explain you that is a session manager. Okay. But we are not going into that right now. That is used by administrators when they're looking for automation. Okay. Currently, I will enable SSH from anywhere. Here, anywhere means anywhere from the internet. Okay. This is only for the demo purpose. And even when you are doing this for your practice purpose, do that. But in real time in industries, this SSH from anywhere will not be allowed. Okay. For security purpose. If I'll scroll down further, there's a storage option. So storage means when you have a server, there will be a storage attached to a server, like a hub on your laptop. So laptop is providing you, the machine is providing you the computing, and that storage is providing you a space where you can store the data. Okay. So you will have a root volume and you can attach the additional volume to your EC2 machine. So I am keeping the default option, that is a 8 GB of root volume, and you can click on launch instance. So soon this machine will be up and running. How you can check this status? Once you will see the 100% here, I will go to the instances and I can see the progress of my EC2 instance. Okay. So currently the instance state is pending. Soon this EC2 instance will come into running state. Okay. Let's wait for the EC2 instance to come into running state. It's in a running state. So now you can connect to this EC2 instance. So select that, click on connect. Let's use this option, EC2 instance connect. I'm going to use this option and click on connect. So you will be connected to your EC2 machine. Soon you can see an interface, a terminal where you can execute the Linux commands. So it's establishing the connection. Let me show you the overview about this machine. Select this machine and you can see the overview in terms of public IP, private IP. What are IP? IP stands for Internet Protocol. You must be aware about that. It is required for communication. So if you have to communicate over the internet, obviously you will need public IP. So this is my public instance. Public means I can establish the communication over the internet. If you want to keep your server private, then there will be no public IP associated with that. Okay. Great. Let's check this option. I have established the connection. I can see 172.31.32.148. This is the private IP address of my machine. Okay. Always remember, if you have to start your career in AWS, in cloud computing, you should have a basic understanding of Linux. Okay. So start learning basics of Linux. Okay. I'm going to execute some commands. Let's say, who am I? I'm typing that. This is one of the command in order to show you like which is a user ID you have logged in with or which is a currently active user. So EC2 user is the one. Now from where this EC2 user came from, it's here in the AWS documentation. If I will type EC2 user, so here you can open this documentation, and in this documentation you can see based on the AMI we are choosing, there are default username. And that's the reason when I was clicking on EC2 instance connect, it was showing me a default user as EC2 hyphen user. You can see I had selected Amazon Linux too, so for me the username is EC2 user. Okay, that has been created by AWS. Again, you can refer this article if you want. I'm providing the link in the chat in the comment section by saying username for EC2. Okay. Now what I'm doing, I am switching to my root account. So for switching to my root user, I can say sudo su. So sudo is an elevated access in Linux and su stands for switch user. So I have switched to a root user. If this time I'll type who am I? I'm a root user. Okay. Let me install some softwares. First of all, I'm checking if Java is installed here by typing a command Java space hyphen hyphen version. I can see Java not found. Okay. So I'm executing a command to install Java. So yum is a utility in Linux. This utility is basically used in order to download the softwares, download the libraries from a centralized Linux repository or from the internet. So I have to install Java. So I will say yum install hyphen y Java. This hyphen y is a flag so that you don't have to provide the explicit approval when it will ask for. It will automatically install this Java. You are providing the approval here itself as a part of a command that you are sure you want to install Java. Do that. And it will update all the dependencies. I'll show you without hyphen y what happens. It is installing Java here. It got completed. If I'll type Java hyphen hyphen version, this time I can see the Java version installed on my EC2 instance. Okay. Let's give one more try. I want to install MySQL, for example. I'll type MySQL hyphen hyphen version. It will say command not found. But install MySQL, this time without hyphen y flag. If I'll do that, you can see it's asking for the approval. Is this okay? You can read what package it is installing with a version, with a repository from where it has taken that, and what's the size of that package. So that hyphen y was to provide the automatic approval. But here I have to explicitly provide the approval. You can see this is a MySQL version. Okay. Now that was one way to connect to your EC2 instance. The another way is PuTTY. So PuTTY is Open SSH client, as I told you. It will take you to this website. You can read. PuTTY is an SSH and Telnet client developed originally by Simon Tatham for the Windows platform. It is an open source software that is available with source code. Okay, you can download the PuTTY from here. Okay, I already have a PuTTY running on my machine, so I'll type PuTTY search bar. So what all things you have to provide? You have to provide your host name. This is my host name. So where I can take that. This is my host name. I have to give public IP. Okay. So I'm giving a public IP. My port will be 22 because SSH is enabled on port 22. For SSH, port is 22. I will expand on the left hand side this SSH section. Under SSH, I have this auth section, and I will go to credentials. And here under credentials, I will simply say browse. So I'll browse for the private key, the one which I had downloaded. So this was the one I had downloaded on my machine. Provide that and say open. It will ask you to accept. This is a security alert. Click on accept and you have to provide a login. So I told you the default user for Linux, Amazon Linux 2, that is EC2-user. Provide that and you are connected to your machine. So this is another way to connect to your machine for practice purpose. 172.31.32, 148. You can change the settings in terms of font size and all. Just do a right click here over this and go to change settings and you can increase the font size. Let me do that. Okay. You can also change the appearances in terms of colors and all. But if I have to change the colors, I can change the colors as per my choice. And finally, I can see the screen. So if I switch to a root user, I can see Java version, which is already there on this machine, MySQL version, which is already there on this machine. Okay. So these are two ways. I'm not saying these are the only ways, but these are two ways to connect to a Linux machine. Okay. Yes, Sandeep, I'll ping the command. Don't worry. I'll make a note of the command, Sandeep, and I'll ping those commands. Okay. Are we good, everyone? Till here? Got an insight how to launch a machine, Linux machine, how to connect to those machines. Are you good, everyone? Can you give me a quick idea? Looking forward for replies in the comment section. Okay, you can give your reply. Let me show you another part which I was planning to show you. That is, let's create an image. I told you I'm going to create an image from this machine, and using that image, I am going to launch one more server. Okay. When I will launch one more server, I will show you there will already be Java and MySQL running on that server when you will connect to that. Let's see that. Select this server, go to actions. Under actions, you can see there is a section called image and template. Choose this one and say create image. I'm providing an image name. Let's say my first custom image. Any name you can provide. Okay. You can provide a description. I'm not enabling this option, rebooting option. I'm keeping all other options as default in terms of the size will be 8 GB only. And I'm adding a tag. Let's say I'm adding a name tag for this image. My first custom image. It will be useful for filtering purpose if I want to manage my resources better. Okay. And finally, I will say create image. Okay. As soon as you will do that, the image will be started creating. How can you go to that image section? You can either go from here, or either you can have this section here on the EC2 dashboard called AMI. But before that, read this info. It is saying currently creating AMI. Check the AMI status is available before deleting the instance or carrying out other actions related to this AMI. So it is saying that till the time where AMI status is not available, don't delete this instance, don't delete this machine. Okay. Sometimes you may be planning that this is a base machine. Okay. From this base machine, you have created some images, some custom images. And using that custom image, you are going to launch other machines. Okay. So you're planning to terminate this machine as soon as you have created the image. But wait for some time till the status of this image is not in an available state. So directly click here and you will be navigated to the AMI section. Let's wait for this section to be appeared. And finally, once I will be landed to this page, I can see the AMIs which are there in my account. So once the AMI will be available, I will launch one more instance from that image to show you there would already be MySQL and Java version running. So this is my first custom image. If I scroll to the right, you can check the status is pending. So we'll have to wait for the status to be available. Okay. You can apply various filters. So these are the filters you can apply. Owned by me, some private images, some public images. Okay. So this is a private image. Okay. Let's wait for that. It's still in a pending state. My first custom image. We'll wait for a minute or two. In the meantime, I can quickly prepare a list of commands for all of you. Let me do that. If I'll type the commands, let's say sudo su, I can say switch to a root user with a sudo access. This is a description about the commands. Okay. Then I executed Java hyphen version. That was to check the version of Java if it is installed on my machine. Okay. I can say yum install -y Java if Java is not present. To install the Java on my machine using yum utility. Okay. And finally, I did the same thing with MySQL -- version. So this is again to check MySQL version on the machine. Okay. You can say yum install -y MySQL. Install MySQL using yum utility. Okay, these were the commands I had used. Let me provide you in the chat, in the comment section. I'll keep this document open because I'm going to use few more commands for my next set of demo. Okay. The commands are there in the comment section. You can take it from there. Let's check the status of our image. Let's refresh that. It is available. Okay. Now I'm launching another EC2 instance from this image. Select that and say launch instance from AMI. Let's do that. Let me and soon the EC2 launch window will be open. You can see that this window is open. Let's say to this machine, I'm giving a name Linux Server 2 or any other name of your choice you can see. So I'm giving a name here, let's say Linux Server 2. Okay. For your knowledge, you can manage the number of instances from here. Let's say I want to launch two instances, two similar instances, I can change the number to two. Okay. But you have to check the count or you have to check the quota of any service in your account or in your region. So for any service, there will be a quota defined. There will be a default limit defined. Okay. So if you will go beyond that limit, you will get the error. But if the quota is a soft limit, you can always ask for increase that quota. So you can read from here if you want. If you open this info section, you can see. You can specify more than one instance to launch. All the instances will launch with the same configuration. Tip: to ensure faster instance launches, break up large requests into smaller batches. For example, create 5 separate launch requests for 100 instances each instead of one launch request for 500 instances. Okay, just a best practice. Okay, I have taken the name as Linux Server 2. Okay, I will keep the keep all other options as default. AMI has already been taken. I have taken the custom image, okay, the one from which I have or I'm planning to launch this EC2 machine. The instance type will be t2.micro. This time I'm not choosing any key pair because I'm not going to use putty. I just had to show you how to use putty. Under network setting, I'll keep all other settings as default. Let's say VPC, subnet, and I will allow SSH from anywhere. Now click on launch instance. Okay. So I'll wait for this instance to be launched. So once this will be 100%, I'll go to instances and I'll check the status of that EC2 instance. Okay. Let's go here in the instances section. And you can see your Linux server 2 is currently in a pending state. Soon the status will be changed from pending to running. We'll wait for the status to come up and running. It's running. Let's test our scenario. Go to this EC2 instance, click on connect, and I'm going to use this EC2 instance connect option, one of the way to connect to your Linux based machine. You all know you can buy. So check the IP address of EC2 machine. Let me set that. Enter 72.1.38.102. And if I'll go here, if I'll wait for my terminal, I can see 172.31.38.102. Compare that. Okay. But I want to test if Java and MySQL is already installed here or not. I have not installed explicitly. That should be there as a part of an image with which I have launched this machine. Check that. Switch to root user. Get Java hyphen version. You can see MySQL hyphen version. You can see this is image, machine image. So AMI is repeatable. Okay. Okay. Manoj, I'll do that. Manoj, why you want me to allow HTTP? Like any specific use case? Or do you want to test something? Manoj? I can see there is a comment in the chat, allow HTTP also. Okay. I am going to show a use case. The use case is I will install an index.html page on one of my servers. I have two servers running on my account. I am going to install an index.html page on one of the servers. Let's do that. Currently, if I will take the public IP address, if I will go here to the public IP address, I will say site can't be reached. Let's wait for that error to be populated because currently I don't have anything running on this server, on this machine. So I have to host a website, okay, and I have to access that website. I can access that website over the public IP address. It is saying site can't be reached. Let's fix it. Means let's install an index.html page on one of the web server. Okay, so I'm going to install Apache server for that. I will again use a command yum install on this EC2 machine. And this time I'm going to install Apache HTTP server. Apache is a server where you can run your web pages. Okay. If you want to read about Apache server, you can simply type and you can see the Apache HTTP server is an effort to develop and maintain an open source HTTP server for modern operating systems. So I'm going to install the Apache HTTP server on my machine. So we know If we have to install something, if we have to do the installation, the command for that is yum install -y http. Okay, so yum is a utility. I'm installing the HTTP server, so I'll say yum install -y httpd. Okay, yes. So let me check the status of my HTTPD server. So for that, the command is systemctl status HTTPD. Currently, it is inactive. Let's activate it. So I'll say systemctl start HTTPD. Okay. I will execute one more command, that is systemctl enable HTTPD. So this enable HTTPD is used to enable your Apache server at the time of boot. So every time I'll boot my server, it will start this HTTPD server. Okay. D stands for daemon. It's a process in Linux. Okay. This time, if I will check the status, I can see it is active and running. Okay. But only installing the HTTP server when you access the IP address here. If you will copy this, it will paste it here. That is HTTP protocol. But have I enabled HTTP protocol as a part of my firewall rules or as a part of my security group rules? The answer is no. Okay. Answer is no. So I am going to enable the HTTP server. Let's do that. So for that, I will select my server. I'll go to security. In the security section, I will go to the security group. So it's a firewall setting. Okay. And I'm going to enable HTTP on port 80. So enable HTTP when you need access to the host the pages. Unnecessarily don't provide any access as a part of your security group. Security is that you have to check what is allowed, okay, what is not allowed. Okay, so in the security group, we define the allow rules. What type of traffic is allowed as a part of your request in request. Okay, let's change the rule. So I'll go to edit inbound rule, and here I'm going to add one more rule. Let me add a rule for HTTP. It will automatically take the protocol that is 80. If you want to provide any custom range, let's say if I want to provide this request from anywhere, I can say that 0.0.0.0/0. Okay, means anyone can access this over the HTTP. Anyone can access this test page over HTTP and save the rules. This time, if I'll refresh this page, I can see a test page of Apache server because I have an Apache running on my EC2 machine, and I have also enabled HTTP protocol. This time, if I will provide you this link here in the chat, even you will be able to see this page using this link. Give a try. Give a try, everyone. You will be able to see this test page. Give a try, everyone. Okay. You will be able to see this test page. And the reason behind that is currently I have allowed HTTP from anywhere. Let's allow HTTP only from my IP address. Let's do that. So let's say added inbound rules. And if I will say my IP address, okay. This time, if I will save the rules, and if I will try to access this particular page over public IP address, I will be able to access, but you will not be, because I have restricted the access to my IP address for this particular web page test. Okay. Let me install one index.html page. Okay. So what I will do, I will go back to my machine. This is my machine where I have run an HTTP server. Now I am going to install an index.html file. Okay. So for installing the HTML file, you will have to go to a directory on HTTP server. The directory is slash var slash www slash html. So I'm changing my directory to slash var slash www slash html. Okay. So I'll type a command cd slash var slash www slash html. Okay. Let me refresh my instance connect. Check if my is active. Salvation to be active. Okay. And once this will be done, I will show you one last part. That will be to integrate that with the domain name. Let me check. It is complaining that ensure your instance network settings are configured correctly. Let me check. So what we will do, we will go to again our inbound rules and let me add the inbound rules. Okay. I have changed the wrong security group. So actually, if you have to use EC to instance connect, you had the SSH enabled from anywhere. I had to change this HTTP one. Okay. HTTP from my IP. I had changed the SSH from my IP. If you will say SSH from my IP, you will not be able to use EC to instance connect because this is one of the prerequisite required to use EC to instance connect. Remember that. Okay. So this time, if you will try this URL, you will not be able to see a page because I have changed the correct settings. Okay. I have restricted the access to my IP address. Okay. Great. I'll again go back. I will again select this. I'll go to connect. I'll use this EC to instance connect option. And I will be connected to this EC2 machine. Let's wait for this EC2 instance connect to populate a terminal in front of me. Let's do that. With my HTTP server, so I'll say systemctl status HTTPD. It's running. I'll change my directory to slash var slash www slash html. Okay. And I'm here in the HTML directory. I will say currently listing the files and folders. I don't have anything present here. That's why I'm getting a total count as 0. Okay. Let me quickly create one index.html. So for that, I'm using a command echo. And I'm using a simple HTML tag, header tag, by saying this is my test page. Okay. I'm closing the H1 tag. I am appending that to a file called index.html. I had to use .html. Okay. If I'll do ls minus l, I have index.html, index comma html. Let's remove this index comma html. Okay. I don't want that. That's not a valid extension. Okay. If I'll do ls minus l this time, I only have index.html. If you will display the content, you can see it's a simple content. This is my test page. And if I will refresh this, you can see. Okay, this is my test page. So I have installed one index.html page on the HTTP server. Okay, you can run a complete end-to-end website also on this EC2 machine. The only thing you have to remember, EC2 is providing us virtual machine. So you have to manage this virtual machine. Management means, let's say if you have to install some patches, if you have to install some upgrades, you will have to do that by yourself. Okay. So I will take some commands again here. But are the set of commands? The set of commands I have used right now, that is yum-y install httpd. This is required to install Apache HTTP server. Okay. Then I check the status first. It's required to check the status of HTTP server. Okay. Then I have used this command called systemctl start httpd to start my HTTP services. Again, I type systemctl enable httpd to start HTTP service every time when you boot your instance or when you boot your machine. Okay. And finally, I had switch my directory to this and installed one index.html file by using a simple H1 tag. Let's say this is my test file. I appended that to index.html. Okay. So this one is for changing the directory to HTML. Okay. And this one is for creating an index.html file. Okay. Now, if you will ask, do we have to learn HTML? My answer will be it depends on you. Are you a website developer? Are you a tester? Are you an administrator? Based on that, you can learn a programming language. You can learn a specific tool. The idea is like what all these services are. What are the use cases? So now think if you have this question in your mind, do we have to learn everything new in the cloud computing? We can say that we are extending our existing knowledge when we are moving to AWS cloud. Okay. So if I was a developer, I was working on Linux before, still I'm using my Linux command, but on a new platform. I'm using a new platform to run my set of commands. Okay. So that cloud computing is. Okay. Let me paste these set of commands also in the comment. Now I will do one more interesting thing for all of you here to extend this demo. And that is, I will associate this IP address with a domain name. Currently, you are accessing this IP address. Let me associate that with a domain name, and then we will clean our resources which we have created. Okay. So what I will do, I will go to Route 53. This is a DNS service, cloud DNS service. All yesterday also we had a discussion on this. I will give you a quick idea in the real time in your day-to-day life. You type over the internet www.amazon.com. Okay, an e-commerce website you are using for your day-to-day products, for your day-to-day lifestyle. Okay, so that www.amazon.com is a friendly name, user friendly name. If I would ask you to remember an IP address, a numerical number other than the www.example.com, it would be difficult for you to remember the IP addresses of so many websites. We have so many websites available on Google. Okay. So what concept we have, instead of asking the user to remember the numerical number, there is a friendly name which will be resolved to that IP address in the backend. And who do this job? This job is done by DNS service. Okay. So in AWS, Route 53 is a cloud DNS service which help you out to register for a domain. If you want a domain, so in one tab, I will open this Route 53 tab. I will open the user. Let's say, and once this Route 53 dashboard will be there, I will quickly search for EC2 also. Let me search for EC2 in the other tab. Just wait. Okay. Let me search for EC2 in the search bar. And here, if I will go for EC2, and if I will open that in the new tab, there will be an EC2 console available here. So I already have registered my domain. This is my registered domain in Route 53. Okay, I'm not asking you to purchase a domain. I'm just showing you for extra knowledge. Okay, If you already have an existing domain, you can transfer your domain to AWS. If you want to purchase a domain, you can do that. Okay. But yes, it will charge you. So I am not asking you to take this domain, register for this domain. I have this domain running in my account, okay, digicloudedge.com. So what I'm going to do, I am going to create a record. So I'll go to dashboard, okay, and I'm going to create a record. So I am going to route my traffic, okay. So there are different records in the DNS, okay. Let me go here to my hosted zones, and I am going to create an A record, okay. Just within knowledge, I can open this. Let's say route 53 records. If I'll open route 53 records, and if I will open that in front of you, which I am going to use, and it is for the DNS services in general. Okay. Let's wait for this very quickly. Okay. You can see, let me show you this A record type. A record type is. You can use an A record to route the traffic to a resource, such as web server using an IPv4 address in a dotted decimal notation. What's my requirement? I want to route my traffic to a resource to an IP address. Means when the request will come on a DNS name, I will route that request to an IP address, to my public IP address. So I'll create an A record. Okay. If you want to read more about DNS, you can understand from here. So Route 53 supports the DNS record types that are listed in the section. Each record type also includes an example of how to format the value. Okay, let's go here to Route 53. I'm going to create a host. Let me do that. Let's create a one for the demo. I'll go to create hosted zone. Let me create a one. I'm saying digicloud h.com, for example. I'm doing that. Okay. I am created the hosted zone. It's created. Let's create a record for this hosted zone. So soon you will see this hosted zone here. Let me create a record. I'm going to create an A record. Okay. So I'm just keeping it as it is. You can provide a subdomain name if you want. I'm creating the A record. I have to type the IP address of my EC2 instance where I want to route the traffic. So this is the IP address 13.232.11.192. Let's take that. Let's provide it here. Okay. I have to remove this HTTP and all, and I will only keep this IP address. Okay. If I scroll down, this is a TTL, time to leave. So time to leave basically is a setting. You can say that you want DNS recursive resolver to cache information about this record. So it is used for caching. Let's create a record. If I create this record, this is a record I've created. Okay, if I will use this time, let me show you. digicloudedge.com. Let's quickly check that. I already have the domains registered here. Okay, it is already here. Let me refresh it one more time. Go back and create one more host zone. Okay, I already have one hosted zone here. I know what's the challenge. I'll guide you. Let me quickly check that once. Okay. The problem is actually when you create a new hosted zone, you have to register these servers. Okay. You have to register these servers to the registered domains. So I already have this hosted zone created. Okay. Let me delete the another one. Let me check if we have any filter. Okay. I was checking a filter on the basis of timestamp, but that's fine. I can see which one I have created right now. This is the one I have created right now. I will delete this one. This hosted zone I'll delete. Okay. I will have to add these servers in my registered domains here. If I will open this, I will have to add the servers in my registered domains. So I will delete that because creating or registering the servers in the registered domain will do this demo with my another hosted zone. So let's check. I will have to add the servers. These are called name servers. Okay. These are name servers. Okay. You can add it simply and you can add it the name servers. Okay. But let's delete that, the one which is there. And I am going to use my existing hosted zone for which the servers has already been registered. Okay. I can show you. Okay. Let me delete the records very quickly. So before deleting the hosted zone, you need to register. That's a good exercise. You can see this time it got deleted successfully. And for your understanding, I can show you. So if I will open the existing hosted zone, which was there in my account, you can see these are the name servers NS139374118884. And if you will go here, you can 13937411884303. These are already registered here. Okay, I can use this. Let me create a record here. I'm going to create an A record. You can give any name. You can keep it dizzycloudh.com or you can give a subdomain. Okay. Let me provide the IP address. What's the IP address? This is the IP address 132.32.11.192. You can cross verify one more time. And this is correct. And I am creating the record. Okay. The record is created. Refresh this. And you can see the result. Okay, can you see the result? So what I have done, I have registered a domain name to this IP address. Now I don't have to remember that numerical number. I can remember this domain name, and on the basis of this, my request will be resolved to an IP address. Okay, the issue we were facing that was because we had to register the servers. Okay, so I already had a hosted zone. I have used that. Great. Now it's the time to clean all the resources which you have created. So let me delete to A records I have in my system. I'm deleting them. Okay. And then I will come back to my EC2 dashboard. I have two instances. So if you have to terminate the servers, simply go to your dashboard, select those instances. These are two EC2 instances I've selected. And finally, I'm saying I'm going to terminate these two EC2. So EC2 instances will be terminated soon. And finally, what I'm going to do, I am going to do AMIs, okay? And I will delete the images. This was the one which we had created. Let's delete that. I'm deregistering this AMI. And let's check if we have any snapshots. That was the one which was already there in my account. I will take care of that. But whatever you are creating, you have to ensure that you are deleting. So whenever you create an AMI, a snapshot got created. Snapshot is a point in time backup. Okay. Let me delete this snapshot too. So I'll go to actions. I will say delete snapshot. So whatever resources you are creating in your account, you have to ensure that you are deleting it before you are logging out from your account. If you are in a free tier, okay, if you're working as a part of an industry in real time, never ever delete the resources till the time it is required or till the time it is instructed to you with a proper approval. Okay, keep that thing in your mind. Okay, now I will give you a quick idea of the next thing. That is storage. What is introduction today? And then I will give you an assignment on EC2. So if I have to relate storage, I will relate space required to store your information, your data. Better, I will use a word data. Okay, because I don't think that data is a collection of information all the time. I will not agree with this definition all the time. According to me, data is a collection of discrete values or raw elements. Okay, why? You know that you have so many data sources from which you are getting the data, and all the data you are getting from different data sources is not in structured format all the time. It can be unstructured format, it can be in a semi-structured format. So till the time your data is not ready for analysis, till the time your data is not ready to give you some information, I will say data is a collection of discrete values or raw elements. Okay, anything space to store your data. So major classification of storage in AWS we do, that is files and these are three major classification. Okay, block storage means you are storing the data in small blocks, in small chunks. Okay, storing in small. Okay, file storage means storing the data in file like hierarchical structure. Okay, and object storage means you are storing the unstructured data or data in binary form, you can say. So services which provide you these storage, block storage is provided to you in AWS by EBS, Elastic Block Store. That's a full form. Okay, file storage, we have a service called EFS, Elastic File System. And object storage, we have a very commonly used service called S3, Simple Storage Service. So we will talk about simple storage service. Okay, let me give you a very good example. Let's say you have a file of 1 GB. Okay, now like when you have to fetch that file over a network, you want to ensure a proper bandwidth. If you don't have a bandwidth, instead of at retrieving that 1 GB file in single go, what you can do, you can create small chunks. Okay, so those small chunks are called blocks. So in Elastic Block Store, we store the data in form of small blocks, small chunks. Okay. In file storage, we are storing the data in hierarchical structure. And in object storage, we are storing the data in its raw format or native format. Means whatever form of data you are getting, you are storing that in an object storage. And there is a very good term which comes into picture for S3, which is an object storage service. Okay, and that is data lake. So S3 is used as a data lake widely in industries. What data lake is? Data lake, in a very simple language, it's a centralized repository which contains data in its native format or raw format. Or remember that. Okay, and the same thing is S3 doing. S3 is storing the data in its native format or raw format. Okay, if you want to read more about that, there is a very good blog which is available in AWS. I told you, you have enough documentations available, enough official documentations available, so no need to go here and there. So I will say storage in AWS. Okay, if I'll search for this, I'll go here. Cloud storage on AWS, and that's a very good blog. Let me show you that. You can see cloud storage on AWS. This is storage service. This is block storage service. This is a type of file system. Okay. EFS. It is suitable for Linux-based workload. If you're looking for Amazon file cache, speed cache for data sets stored anywhere. Okay. You can see object file and block storage. Okay. You can also read this overview of web services here with respect to storage. Okay. So if you want to know more about this, you can see the overview from here too. What are these services used? Cache, file storage, object storage, and block storage. Okay, under these categories, we have different services. The major one, EBS for block storage, EFS for file storage, which is suitable for Linux-based workload. If you're looking for Windows-based workload, you will use Amazon FSx. And S3 is a simple storage service which is used as a part of object storage. Okay. Now, as I told you, we have to understand S3 majorly. So, see, if we talk about S3, every service has an identifier in AWS. Remember, like when you were talking about EC2, you had used an identifier called instances. For S3, we have an identifier called bucket. So S is represented by bucket. You will also see a symbol of bucket in S3. Okay, that is a symbol of S3. Okay. Now this bucket is called container. Or another word, this container and repository is required to store your data. How do we store the data? We store the data in form. These are data you are storing, and every identifier or a unique key, you can say. Okay, create our first bucket in AWS in S3. Okay, and we will upload an object into that bucket. Let me show you. This will be the last part of today's session. Okay, and then I will provide you your homework. Okay, because we have our next session on Saturday. Okay. So till that time, I want you to practice few things, and I will provide you a very good assignment. So let me go to S3, and here in the S3, I am going to create my first bucket. Let's quickly wait for this S3 to be up and running, this dashboard. Okay. So what's a demo we are going to perform? We are going to create a bucket. We are going to store the object into that bucket, and we are going to retrieve that object over the internet. These three things we are going to do for today. Okay. Let's get a bucket. I told you for every section for different features, you will have this info icon. When you will press this info icon, you can read about. Bucket are containers for objects stored in S3. You can store any number of objects in a bucket, means S3 provides you the unlimited amount of objects you can store here. Okay. There will be a limitation with respect to a size of single object, that is 5 terabytes, and you can have up to 100 buckets in your account. This is a default limit. Means by default you can have 100 buckets. If you want to create more buckets, you have to request for the limit increase. So see, currently I have 91 buckets. So after 9 more buckets, I will get an error. Bucket limit exceeded. So if I want more bucket, I will have to request for the service quota increase. Okay. So some limits are adjustable, some limits are not. If anybody wants to understand the quota for a particular service, simply type like this: S3 service quotas, for example. That is the one way, just for your knowledge. And then you can see the service quotas, or specifically, if you want to see the quotas for S3, you can see the quota for S3 too. That's the one way. If you want to read from documentation perspective, AWS service limits, okay, you can see it from here. If you have to go through the console, you will get this option. So in the console, if you will go here, this is the option called service quotas. Okay. If I will open that in new tab, from here you will see the service quota. You can see a dashboard of quotas. Okay. Let's say I want to export on the basis of a specific service. Simply say AWS services, type the name of a service, and you can see various quotas. Because if you have a question, what is adjustable and what is not, you can see it from here. Adjustable. So see, bucket, 100 bucket, it is adjustable, and if it is adjustable, you can simply select it and you can request the quota increase. Okay, so this is a place from where you can see what are the quotas for a particular service. Quota means limits. What is a default one, what is hard limit, what is soft limit, means which quota is adjustable and which is not. Okay, I'll go here. Let's get a bucket. So you have to keep one thing in your mind. Whenever you are creating the C bucket, the name which you are going to provide to your bucket, that is globally unique. Now people commonly ask this question: is S3 a regional service, or is S3 a global service? I told you a service will either be a regional or global. So if you have to answer this question, you can very smartly answer this question. The way to answer this question is bucket name should be globally unique. But bucket, when you create, that should be created in a particular region. So name which I'm providing, that should be globally unique. What's the meaning of that? See, if I will again go back to this buckets, and if I will show you something, this section, this bucket section will show all the buckets in my AWS account. In my AWS account. Okay. If I will search for a bucket with a name test, let me show you. I'm searching for a bucket with name test. There is no bucket present in my account with name test, but still, if I'll go to create bucket, and let's say if I'm providing a bucket name as test, and if I will simply go here and say create bucket, you will get an error. Bucket with the same name already exists. So this is a way to prove that bucket name should be globally unique. Okay. So you can see naming conventions. Okay, what convention I follow? Let's say I have to provide a bucket name. I'm giving any meaningful name. Let's say demo S3 bucket, and I append current date, which I'm appending right now. Let's say 0503/2023. Okay, I will choose a region. I'm creating this bucket in Asia Pacific region, in Mumbai region. And finally, when I will scroll down, I can say create bucket. So this bucket got created. Okay. We will open this bucket, the one which I have created, and I am going to upload an object into this bucket. Okay. One way is you can do a upload from management console. Another way is you can upload from command line. Let me show you one more interface for your knowledge. So for this particular demo, I'm going to open the command line. So AWS gives you an option called Cloud Shell. This Cloud Shell gives you a command line interface where you can type the commands. Okay. Now don't worry. Nobody is asking you to memorize everything memorize everything in 1 hour, 2 hour by practice. And obviously you have enough documentation. Even when you will work in real time in the industries, nobody is asking you that, hey, you don't have the access to internet. You can use internet to refer the documentation. Okay. So I will use a command to load the data to this S3 bucket. Okay. So I will use a command, let's say AWS S3 CP. CP is for copy. I want to copy a file. I want to upload a file. Let me check if I have any files present on this Cloud Shell server. So I will do ls minus l. I have some files present here. Let me open any one of them. Let's say I'm displaying the content present into this test.txt. This is a content present. Okay. You can create one by yourself. Let me create. Let's create one index file only. I'm saying this is my first HTML file, for example. Okay. And I'm appending that to index.html. File got created. This is an index.html. I am going to copy this file to my S3 bucket. Okay. So I will say I have to copy this file to my S3 bucket. So for that, I have to provide the bucket name. This is my bucket name. I will provide that and say enter. I can see upload. Means if I will refresh it, I can see an object index.html. Now, again, don't worry. Whenever you have to see the command line document, simply type AWS, name of the service, and say CLI. Okay. And you can get a command line reference. If you open this, you can see various commands. These are various commands at the bottom. I have used this CP, available commands. Okay. It is used for copies a local file or S3 object to another location locally or in S3. And you can also see the syntax. If you will scroll down, they have given you the examples. This is an example. AWS S3 CP, file name which you want to upload, and bucket name. Okay. See how I remember the command. Some tricks I use to remember the command. Every command will start with AWS. Every AWS command will start with AWS. So type AWS. After AWS, type the name of the service on which you want to execute the command. Let's say S3. And after the name of the service, type the operation. So operation is copy. So I type CP. And then I'm typing the parameters required. So that will come by practice. But these are some basic tricks. Okay. So now if I will try to access this file over the internet, let me copy the URL. Let me paste it over the internet. Currently, I will get access denied. Can anyone tell me why? Why access denied? Anyone? Why access denied? The answer is by default, all the public access settings are blocked. So I will show you this in the next session. Okay. I want you to explore this. So see, I'm giving you a hint. By default, all the public access settings are blocked. Block all public access settings. So try this as an exercise. Create a bucket in your account, upload the object, and try to fix this issue. So in the next session, we will discuss on this. Okay. So we will keep our today's discussion till here only. What's for you? For you, there is an exercise you all have to do, that is on EC2. So there are two labs, EC2 Linux hands-on lab and EC2 Windows hands-on lab. So I will provide you both of them. And in this lab, you will get some other opportunities to connect to your EC2 instance. Okay. So you can see step-by-step instructions are here. And even they have given you some overview. So let me provide you these two links. And that is something you have to do. Okay. Very good. This is a first exercise on Linux you all have to do. And the second one is on Windows. Again, it is for your extra knowledge. More you will practice, more you will learn. Okay. So these are the two assignments I want you all to practice on your feature account. Okay. Do that and learn more. Yes, Sandeep, I have not given the permission, and by default, all public access setting is blocked. So we will have to manage the permission, and that is an exercise you all have to try by yourself first. Okay. Yes. So I will keep my session till here only. Thanks a lot for being a part of this session. It was always a great interaction with all of you. And I really enjoyed this interaction with all of you. Hope you learned something as a part of today's discussion. Okay. Over to you, Dipali.
Sure. Thanks, Jatin. Thanks a lot. It was such an insightful session, I could see. So I strongly recommend each one of you to please practice these demos which were covered by Jatin in this session and complete the assignments as mentioned by Jatin. Then you will be able to follow the upcoming sessions in a better way, and you will be more closer towards your certification exam. So spend this 1 week's time. Now, next session will be on coming Saturday, that is on 11th March. So spend these 5, 6 days to practice these concepts, and let's have discussions, more meaningful discussions in the upcoming sessions. Thank you very much.